Tying up another wet fly from Ray Bergman's book Trout today. This is a fly called the Blue Blow. Don't know much about the history of this fly, or how it got its name. I do know that blue, which is in the body here, the blue floss in there, is a very productive color, especially I know in warm water circles it's very, very productive. I'm assuming it's all equally productive in trout circles. But it's a pretty basic, simple wet fly with a nice matched wing in it. There's a tip on this and a palmered hackle instead of a rib on it. It's a little bit different technique, but very interesting little fly. That's the Blue Blow. I'll get busy tying. So I'm going to start the Blue Blow with my hook in the vise. This is a Mustad 3399 in a size 6. Just a standard wet fly hook. Go ahead and debarb the hook. I'm going to attach my thread. I'm using a Danville 70 Denier in white to start out with because the body is a light blue Rayon floss. I don't want to darken that up with a dark thread. I've already got some wax on the thread here. I'm just going to attach that about an eye length behind the eye of the hook and run this down to just about the point of the hook. There's no tail on the Blue Blow, but there is a tip on it of tinsel. I'm using a Danville silver and gold Mylar tinsel in a size 14, and it is gold. So we want to attach this with the silver side out. And then I'm going to advance my thread down the hook shank, down the bend just a little bit. I should end up just about over the barb of the hook. And then I'll bring it back up to where I tied that in, just right about to the point, a little bit behind. I'm going to turn this over. It's going to be easier for me to apply this tinsel. I'm just going to put this in either edge to edge, nice touching wraps, or just slightly overlapped. I get about 4 or 5 wraps in. That's all I need for the tip on this. A few wraps to secure that in. I can trim away the excess. There's no rib on the Blue Blow. There is a hackle. It is a palmered hackle. I'm just using some. This is off of a whiting American rooster saddle. It's just a small feather. Now, a lot of these wet flies that do this, that have a kind of a hackle rib combination that is palmered up the body, you can, if you want to, use the whole hackle in there, both sides of the barbs off the rachis here. But I like to peel off one side. Now I'm going to tie this in concave down, so when I start to wrap this, it's going to flip over, and this is the side that's going to wrap on. But I prefer to peel off the barbs from one side of this, and the reason is it just looks a little bit better. I think these wet flies, and certainly if that's the look you want, you could go for it. But if you put both sides in, I just find that they look too bushy. I'm going to tie this in by the tip. A couple of wraps rearward to secure that. And I want to have that out just a little bit so that my first wrap, when it comes over, that barb will actually stick out. It won't be trapped pointing in a rearward direction. So that's the hackle all tied in. The body, as I mentioned, is a light blue. I'm using a Rayon, 4-strand Rayon floss, a Danville, in a light blue. going to attach that to the hook, pulling that back to the left so that it just comes inside past the head right to the end of the body. Then I'll start to wrap forward, trying not to get any of that hackle wrapped in, but I'm just going to wrap forward and touching turns. Just gives me a nice smooth underbody here. And then I'm going to wrap in the floss body, and then I will palmer that hackle in. Get 5 wraps in, just like it were a rib, but again, there's no hackle on this. I mean, there's no throat or anything or collar up here, so I will often get the 5 wraps in for the rib, but when I get up to the end, I'll put an extra wrap or 2 for that feather just to give it a slight collar up here at the front. Doesn't have to be thick and bushy or anything like that. I'm going to sweep back any barbs that kind of got trapped in there going forward. A couple right there. Clean this up a little bit to tie in our wing. Now I'm going to, with my bodkin or my scissors, just kind of go down the center here and push those barbs out of the way. It gives me a little channel in there for my wing. The wing on the blue blow is just a slate. You could use some goose shoulder if you want, or quills, I should say, flight feathers, or some duck. I'm using some duck. This is just some natural mallard that I'm using. It's a nice kind of gray color. I don't know if the recipe calls for a slate color, and again, I don't know if that is a particular dyed color or natural color back in the day. But I'll get my 2 slips. I want to even up the tips right there first. Then I'll get one edge evened up, and I can see I've got just 1 extra barb or so on that 1 slip on your side. So I'll even that up, making certain I'm keeping the tips nice and even here. Place that up there. I want the tips to go just a little bit past the bend of the hook. I'm going to pinch that between my thumb and middle finger, wrap around and pull down. Get another wrap in there, a couple more. Oh, wait a minute. Just realized I did not change over to my black thread, which is fine. The slips that I have for that wing will still be fine. I just got busy thinking about what I was doing there. I'm using a Danville 70 Denier in black as the finished thread here. Really, I could have gone ahead and wrapped that in and bound that wing in well enough with the white, and then just switched over to the black. You're just putting the black on top. And technically speaking, since I'm going to finish this off with a clear coat and then some black lacquer. Probably could have even just left the white thread on there and been fine. So I'll get my wing back together here. Now I'll do my pinch and loop. Couple extra wraps to make certain it's secure. Then we can take a look at how the wing is setting there. A little bit wide, but I think that sets pretty well on both sides. I'll go with that. Now I'll stabilize that wing there a little bit. And I want to make certain I didn't quite get all of those barbs cut out. Now, once again, I'll stabilize that wing and start wrapping that in, covering up those butt ends and forming the head of the fly. I do have a little bit of the butt ends of that wing kind of showing through a few thread wraps there, but I'm not going to concern myself with it because, as I said, I'm going to put some clear lacquer on this and then a top coat or two of black lacquer. I would rather not bulk the head on this fly much more than it already is. Sometimes you get lucky with your whip finish and it will actually cover up some of those little bits as well. So I'm going to put a little head cement. This is a fly-tight head cement, the thin alcohol-based head cement, to soak down into those thread wraps there. I get a little bit in the eye of the hook there. Really, you don't have to worry about it because of the fact that it's so thin. It'll actually dry up and open that hole up. But always have some peacock curl handy on your desk because you can just run that through the eye and clean that out of there. Now, like I said, I'll come back and put a couple of coats of clear lacquer on there and some black lacquer. And that will complete the blue blow. Just a fun little wet fly. Another one from Ray Bergman's book, Trout. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.